When you look at all these YouTube videos like Tony Robbins or all these success gurus, they always say, and everyone tells me they want to be successful. I always tell them there's only one thing you need to do. Hunger. It's all about extreme hunger. The more you want it, the more you're going to achieve. And then at the same time, they also talk about gratitude and, you have to enjoy the journey. But striking that balance is like a near impossibility for me personally. I struggle so much with that shit. How do you balance gratitude with ambition? All right, welcome to episode 5 of Brolosophy. I am Mike Fio.
And I am Nick Fio.
And we are the Fio Bros.
And our intention with this podcast is super simple: to share practical wisdom for a happier, more fulfilling life.
Yeah. And this episode in particular is part 5 of a 5-part series on this book right here, The Top 5 Regrets of the Dying by Bronnie Ware. And if you missed the first 4 parts, to give you a quick background on the book, super quick, it was written by an Australian writer who spent countless hours with thousands of people on their deathbed, taking care of them. And over all that time, she compiled the list of the top 5 most common regrets of the dying. Put them into this book so that we can learn them and avoid them when we get to the end of our lives. So today, we are specifically talking about regret number 5.
5th and final one.
And how we can avoid it. So, Nick, what is the 5th most common regret of the dying?
The 5th most common regret of the dying is I wish I'd let myself be happier.
I got to say, out of all of the 5 regrets, this is the one that I needed to hear the most, that I needed to
It
put
spoke
on.
to you
Yeah, it spoke to me big time.
at this point in your life.
Yeah, because I saw myself in the main character of the story that Bronnie tells.
So tell us the story that Bronnie uses to bring this one to light.
So it's the story of this badass, hard-ass old lady named Rosary. So Rosary worked in the 60s. And during that time, it was very rare for a woman to be an executive of anything because of the times. But Rosary was determined. So she worked her fucking ass off.
Mm-hmm.
And she became as hard as a rock in the process because she had to be. And she took names. She lost all of her friends in the process. But one day, she finally does it. She makes history as the first woman executive at this big-ass corporation. And for that moment, she is as happy as can be.
Mm-hmm.
But now fast forward to when Bronnie sees her at the end of her life and she's dying. She is now living in this beautiful mansion with tons of money, tons of beautiful things, luxurious items, and not a single soul in it, and not a single ounce of joy is in this home. And she realizes at the end that none of that shit that she was chasing was worth it. So she tells Bronnie these words: I wish I'd let myself be happier. What a miserable person I've been. I just didn't think I deserved to be happy. But I do. I know that now. There was never any need at all to feel guilty for letting myself be happy. So this woman spent her whole life believing that she would find happiness on the other side of finally attaining something, that only once she attained success that she could allow herself to finally feel a sense of joy and happiness.
Yeah.
And she wasted her whole fucking life doing it.
This is the famous thing that psychologists call the hedonic treadmill,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know that phrase?
Yeah, we just read about it in the book. The other one is called eudaimonic or some shit like that. Happiness.
Whatever. But basically, hedonic treadmill is this, like, you're on a treadmill and there's like a piece of cheese hanging off right in front of you. And you think that you keep walking on this treadmill trying to get to that cheese, but basically you never get there.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened with this lady.
Yeah.
Right. And it also happens to us, I feel like, all the time. Right.
Yeah.
Like we think, okay, we set these goals for ourselves. When we get this goal, then we're going to be happy. When we get this much money in the bank, we're going to be happy.
After I lose 20 pounds.
After I lose 20 pounds, I'll be happy. And it's not saying that you shouldn't set goals for yourself and aspire to do that,
Mm-hmm.
right? What is it saying, though? Should she not have strived to be the head of this company?
No, I think it all came down to her beliefs that,
Her mindset.
yeah, it was, she says, I felt like I didn't deserve to be happy. She believed that she didn't deserve happiness.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't realize that all along, in order to feel happiness and in order to deserve happiness, all she had to do was let it in. It was there all along in all these moments along her life. I'm sure there were so many moments of connection that she could have enjoyed, but she decided to be hard. She decided to be cold.
Yeah, I think the mantra that this gave me, this story gave me, this last regret, was that happiness is a choice. It is truly a choice that we make moment to moment. It is not found in achieving some external thing.
It's the hardest lesson to learn about happiness, but it's literally the only one you really need to learn.
That happiness is within you right now.
Yes.
And all you need to do is choose it. That
happiness has absolutely nothing to do with anything going on externally.
Well, I don't know how true that is. I think there's a base level, right? You did some research here and you found a study, right?
Yeah. It said that beyond an annual income of roughly $75,000. Now, this is a figure from a 2010 study.
So with inflation,
so it's probably more like $150,000. But yeah, after $75,000, or let's say for today's age, let's just double it because inflation's redonkulous. Let's say it's $150,000 a year.
Yeah.
Additional income does not significantly improve one's day-to-day mood and contentment.
Yeah.
But even more important than that, I found something very interesting.
What's that?
Research published in the Journal of Affective Disorders found that high-achieving individuals may experience depressive symptoms as much as 3 times the rate of the general population. What a freaking paradox.
Why do you think that is?
They're like me.
So why do you experience that?
Because we always want more.
Mm-hmm.
We are never satisfied. Like when you look at all these YouTube videos like Tony Robbins or all these success gurus, they always say, and everyone tells me they want to be successful. I always tell them there's only one thing you need to do. Hunger. It's all about extreme hunger. The more you want it, the more you're going to achieve. And then at the same time, they also talk about gratitude and, you have to enjoy the journey. But striking that balance is like a near impossibility for me personally. I struggle so much with that shit. I'm always chasing. I'm always hungry. I'm like one of the hungriest people I know.
So from my perspective, listening to you talk right now and being your brother and business partner for all these years, I think it became very clear what the issue is you think that it's a fixed place of finding that harmony of being in the middle, but it's really a moving target. Like you think that you can actually achieve that middle way. Like it's not something you achieve.
Yeah, I was never good at the art of living. I was more good at the science of living.
I think that's why we balance each other pretty well. I'm more in the clouds.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know Nick, he's like a dog. He's just always fucking happy and just always happy and very simple. Very simple in his brain.
Yeah, the dyslexia helps with that for sure. Yeah. But going back to what you said, I think you pulled up some really good quotes here from the Stoics that talk about this happiness is a choice concept. So this one's from Seneca. True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future, not to amuse ourselves with either hopes or fears, but to rest satisfied with what we have, which is sufficient. For he that is so wants nothing. The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he has not. Seneca. So let's pause for a second. Let's reflect on that. What do you think?
It's basically just saying be grateful for what you have. Could have summed that up in 4 words.
Yes, he is. But do you think is his line of basically being happy for like being content with your lot, whatever it is, without wishing for what he has not? Does that mean he's saying not to set goals, not to try to achieve more?
I don't know. I feel like that shit is so idealistic and bullshit. Like, wasn't Seneca rich?
Seneca was a statesman. Yeah, he had money.
You telling me this guy was not driven? Like, he didn't want anything? He was just totally content? Mm-hmm. I feel like when I think of that person, I think of the person who's like the guy we met the other day. He was yeah, I don't really care too much about my work, but I'm totally cool with that because I just come home, I make a good living, I spend time with my family, I watch sports, and I'm happy.
Mhm.
That to me is that. But that's why I think type A people are 3 times more depressed. Like I feel like these ambitious people, like hyper ambitious people, like billionaires, let's say, are full of shit. I don't think they're happy. I really don't. I gotta say, I really don't. If you're a billionaire, that means you got to $100 million, $500 million, even. Think about how much money $500 million is and what you can do with that. And you still decided that's not enough.
So I heard a story recently about this billionaire who was asked. He was asked a question like, a lot of people envy you because you're a billionaire, right? Who do you envy? And the guy stops and he thinks for a second and he goes, people that are happier than me. And I thought it was such an interesting concept because basically it's this thing we often hear that like money just makes you more of who you are. If you're not happy, right, before you make all your money, it's not like you're now going to be this magically happy person. Your life is going to be more comfortable. Yes, you're going to be more content. You're going to have less anxiety about what you do for a living, the house you live in, the bills getting paid. But your actual joy, the joy of going out and having a beer with your friends and laughing at a joke, like the joy of smelling the cup of coffee in the morning, right? Like that happiness, we need to figure out how to bring that into our life without any of the extra things that life has to offer us that money can buy, in my opinion, I think. And there's nothing wrong with going after that money. The money is great. The money makes this life, it can make this life richer. But that underlying joy of the moment is really the skill to hone in on, because that we're going to use it for the rest of our life.
What skill are you talking about in particular?
Finding joy in the moment, being grateful for what is currently in our life.
And how do you do that?
By looking at the world through a lens of gratitude, in my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like Marcus says, when you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to simply be alive.
Yeah. Which brings it back to this, right? Death. Right? Go back to death. We're all going to die, and we think we're going to live forever. We get mad at these stupid little things, right? Where really we woke up today, that is something to be grateful for, right?
Yeah.
We can take a warm shower when we get home. That is something to be grateful for. We're in this office right now, surrounded by all this knowledge, with a phone that gives us access to any information we want. Like, that is something to be grateful for.
But how do you balance gratitude with ambition and achievement?
It's that famous line. I do not achieve to be happy, but I happily achieve.
Okay, besides a cliche, like how do you actually do it?
It's a mindset, in my opinion. It's literally all it comes down to. It is the way you view the world. Are you viewing it from you are lacking something and you need to fill a void? Or are you complete, full, and whole, and you are just overflowing your cup and achieving more?
But how do you get there?
What are the specific strategies to living with more gratitude and more appreciation for life?
Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
To me, gratitude is like, I'm happy with what I have. Ambition is, I'm not happy with what I have. I want more, right? So I am someone who is very ambitious. I want more, always. It's just like I was born with it. I was always that way. I was always that way. Always. And I feel like there are so many people that are like that. They're called type A personalities. Those are the people that are 3 times more likely to be depressed.
All right, but everything you're telling me is you're basically saying this is my identity. And I want to challenge you and say, when did you get this identity? And why are you so married to it?
I guess I got it in school. That was like when achievement becomes real for the first time. you get graded.
Okay. So my question to you is, why are you so married to it?
Why am I so married to what?
This identity,
As what?
this type A achiever. Why do you identify with it so strongly that you're afraid to let it go?
I guess it makes me feel good about myself.
Okay. So let's explore that. Why?
I think it just fulfills my need as a human being to feel significant.
Okay. It fulfills your need to be significant.
To feel powerful.
And do you think you need to continue to achieve to feel powerful?
Yes.
Okay. Why?
Because if I stop achieving, then
You're not powerful.
I'm not powerful. And that
Why?
means I'm a loser.
Why?
Because
In whose
winners-
eyes?
I guess my own.
But are you looking at it through your own, or are you looking at it through the world?
I guess they kind of blend into one.
All right. Well, you're listening to this conversation, and you're sitting over there,
Okay.
and you're listening to this dude, that's you,
Okay.
say this stuff.
Yeah, I would say, damn, that guy has issues.
We all have our issues.
But I would look at him and be like, I feel that.
Yeah,
I
and
feel
then
that.
and then now that you've empathized with him and understood him, what would you say after that?
I would tell him I love him or that he is loved.
So is that really what you need?
Yeah, I feel like I've gone to a ton of therapy now that I'm thinking about it. And at different stages in my life, going through different hardships. And the common theme, the common denominator every single time has been one limiting belief that creates 99% of my misery and bouts of depression. And it's this: I need to be perfect in order to be loved. It could also be said, I need to be always achieving at a high level in order to be loved. And it sounds exactly like what Rosary was saying. Now that I'm thinking about it, she said, I didn't deserve to be happy. Just replace happy with love. It's the same shit.
Is that what you feel? That you don't deserve it?
I guess deep down, yeah.
Because you haven't achieved that goal, that next goal.
If you think about it, right?
Mhm.
If I look back in my life, I've achieved a ton. I've done a lot of cool shit.
I know you have.
I got on national TV. I'm on millions of bags of Lay's potato chips. I impacted over 300,000 lives with a nonprofit. I have done a lot of good, positive, achievement-oriented
Quit a
shit.
job that you didn't like.
Yeah, I started my own business and ran it for 8 years with you. Like, I did a lot, and I've achieved a lot. And I'm thinking about people and how, like, in my circle that I grew up with, looking at me, they probably think, like, yo, you're fucking crushing it. But when I look at myself, it's like, yo, you suck. Like, you're not, this podcast doesn't have 1 million subscribers. You suck.
Mm-hmm.
Or you are not making millions of dollars a year. You suck. You're not a millionaire by 30. You suck. You know?
Yeah.
But the reality is, when I look at who I was 8 years ago, I've grown so much since then. And if I go back to that boy who was, I don't know, what was it, 19, 8 years ago, when he first quit his job and went on this entrepreneurial journey, and he saw who I am today, he would be like, holy shit. Like, you're fucking awesome if you really think about it. Because I have done a lot, but here, right now, I don't feel that way. I feel like I've not done enough. And it's a pretty terrible way to live, I gotta say.
Do you want to change it?
Yeah, I do. Definitely do.
Is there anything that...
Who knew that this episode 5, grand finale, therapy session for Mike. The grand finale. It really comes down to shifting that limiting belief, like I said. And that's what it all comes down to.
So let's bring up the limiting belief one more time.
I need to be perfect in order to be loved.
Okay.
I know what I need to do.
What do you need to do? How do you change that limiting belief to an empowering one?
It's not even about changing the belief.
What's it about?
It's more so changing my goal.
Okay. Explain.
And what I'm focused on.
Okay.
I need to stop focusing so much on results and quote unquote achievement. I need to more so focus on progress. If I can look back and see that I am making progress, then I should be able to feel good about myself. That's at the surface level. Underneath that surface level, it's something that I'm probably going to work on for the rest of my life. It's loving myself just the way that I am. Without making any progress, I could be a schmuck on the couch smoking cigarettes and eating fucking McDonald's, and I should still be able to love myself. To me, that's the purest form of happiness. Like, that's true happiness.
Smoking bones and eating McDonald's on the couch.
Yeah. No, like being totally comfortable in your own skin. Like, if you can do that, I actually respect you.
Okay.
Truly, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, I need to stop focusing on the next thing, getting to the next level, making this podcast have 1 million subscribers, making sure this video we're recording right now gets a certain amount of views, and just be fucking happy that I'm here and doing it in the first place. Being proud of who I am and what I've done and what I'm doing. It's a simple mindset switch from I'm not enough to I'm making progress. And I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to finally arrive at some destination in the future. But right now, I am making progress. I am a work in progress constantly. And I will never arrive. And I think it really comes down also to reminding myself constantly. Because my default mode, because it's been my identity for so long, is to go back to craving the hedonic treadmill bullshit. Like, oh, I can't be happy until I do this. I can't be happy until I do this. That's my default mode. And so unless I really discipline myself, I need to get back to my daily morning disciplines of focusing on gratitude, of journaling very consistently, making sure that I'm aware of this limiting belief that I have, that I need to be perfect in order to be loved. I need to get back to my daily disciplines and really just keep that reminder close that progress is good enough. Progress is great. Progress is the only thing that I can control, that I can shoot for, and I need to be happy with that.
Progress is within your control, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
And the actual things that get accomplished with that progress is sometimes out of your control.
Yeah.
So it's going back to Stoicism.
Yeah, it's just really, you never fucking arrive, man. You never arrive.
So it's that cliche, enjoy the journey.
Yeah, sometimes the simplest shit that we want to ignore is really the ones that you gotta pay the most attention to.
So here's a quote by Epictetus. The essence of philosophy is that a man should so live that his happiness shall depend as little as possible on external things.
He's the real one, Epictetus.
All right, so
Seneca, I feel like, is a...
They all balance.
Oh, yeah, I'm rich, but I don't want anything. Get the hell out of here. Epictetus at least walked the walk.
And what about Marcus?
I love Marcus. He's the best.
So you're not a big fan of Seneca.
I mean, when you have a quote like that, you're full of shit. I mean, maybe he was just trying to remind himself, like me.
Yeah, I think that
I'm probably projecting
over
myself.
2,000 years.
No, what I'm really doing is I'm projecting my own self-hatred because I see myself. And I'm saying, fuck this guy. Really, I'm saying, fuck me.
So you're actually being unkind to yourself again.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Well, you
can't laugh at
the
yourself.
self-awareness is 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta just laugh.
Well, I mean, I'm proud of you for acknowledging it and being vulnerable enough to share that. Because I think not only are you going to make progress in your own life because you just said all that out loud, but I'm sure there's someone on the internet somewhere that,
For the 3 people that are listening.
whoever it is, I'm sure there's someone out there in the world that feels very similar to what you just explained.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes knowing that other people exist like you
is enough
to know that, like, you can make progress in a different direction than you're in.
Yeah. And if you're like Nick and you're just a happy bastard all the time, then
That's not true.
we can't be friends.
I have my moments, but I definitely, well, we read about the happiness book, right? Like the signs of happiness, how some of us are just biologically born with a natural tendency towards being happier. And I think I honestly was blessed with that.
You got mom's gene. I got dad's shitty ass anxious gene.
With that said, though, I do try to work on it. I stick to my disciplines. I don't have. I think the thing, because I've struggled with dyslexia my whole life, and I was always the dumb one, I always had to focus on like the simple things I could control.
For those listening, he put the dumb one in quotations.
Well, yeah, because being in a family of fucking 3 geniuses, if you're not a genius, you're basically stupid. And that's what I was. Valedictorian, second in the class, all this shit. You guys it came so easy to all of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think for me, what I had to focus on was, okay, what can I control here? I need to control the discipline, the effort I can put in every single day. That's the only thing. I don't have the brains they do. But there's nobody that can steal my effort. And that effort comes from just discipline every single day, a little bit at a time. Yeah. It's like chopping down a tree.
It's really a blessing the way that happened for you, though, because I feel like the expectations for me, being that I was the quote-unquote smart one, were set so high, and I think that's where this belief even stemmed in the first place. Like, I have that because of mom and dad. I'm not blaming them, but I have this identity because I've always needed to live up to this identity as the smart one, whereas you didn't have that pressure. And it also taught you how to put in more effort than everyone else. It taught you how to be the hardest worker in the room, but without any of the pressure and the identity shit going on, you know?
I think I had a different pressure. I had a pressure. It was the pressure of, like, you're letting us down. Like, you're, like, look at my other 3 kids. They're all fucking doing great. And
so how does that play out for you today?
I think it's like this need of, like, trying to make mom proud.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's deep down in there. It's like,
I feel like sometimes it comes through as insecurity for you.
Yeah.
Like where you try to overcompensate with like this bravado and false confidence, but deep down you still have this insecurity that formed because of the identity as being the quote unquote dumb one.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to like overcompensate for it. And you tend not to believe that you can do things.
Yeah.
Like for me, I was always the type that because I have this identity, I feel like anything is possible.
Yeah.
I could do anything.
Yeah.
Right. But you, I feel like in this partnership that we've had, tends not to think that you believe anything is possible, but maybe just not for you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of your thing that you worked on.
Yeah. Well, we talked about this. We feel like me and you have been put on this earth, came into it as brothers, and we both have one message that we need to remind each other.
Fuck you.
I guess 2 messages. Fuck you being one. The second one being, we each have one to deliver to the other. The one I always need to remind you is what you talked about. To love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And the one you need to remind me,
believe in yourself.
Is to believe in myself.
All right, let's wrap this up because now we're talking too much about ourselves.
All right. Well, what do we got here? What's the actionable takeaway from this whole story we just heard, this final regret of I wish I let myself be happier, to this entire fucking therapy session we just had? What is, like, how do we wrap this all up in a nutshell?
Do you have an actionable takeaway, being that you're the happiest guy in this room?
I think it starts with the belief that happiness is a choice, that we all can be happy, and it's within our control. That is the first step in the process, is actually believing that. Mm-hmm. Once you believe that, realizing the way to be happy is to take account for all the blessings that are currently in your life. Look around. There is so much to be grateful for. You woke up. You have basic needs. You have food in your fridge.
You're safe.
You're safe. You have a bed to sleep in. There's so many things, little things to be grateful for. And I think if we get into the habit of starting to look at the world through this lens of gratitude, we're going to move in that direction of we are enough, we have enough, and it's going to allow our cup to overflow, and we're going to continue to get more. So it's going to solve for that thing of like,
I want more.
I want more. You're going to get more by focusing on all that you have right now. The blessings will continue to multiply. The cup will spill it over.
Hero.
That's my take. How about you?
No, I love it. I think just simple mindset of be grateful to simply be alive. If you can wake up every morning and have that as your baseline, it's really challenging, but if you can get yourself there where you slap your knee as soon as you wake up and you're like, all right, another day, just to be simply happy to be alive for another day. That to me is like the new baseline that I'm working towards, that I want to get to, so that I'm not rosary, so that I'm not rosary and I get to the end of my life and I'm like, yeah, I just wasted my entire life chasing nonsense. Just got to enjoy it as it comes.
Let's enjoy the journey, bro. All right. Top 5 regrets of the dying. Complete.
Hey, peace.